Chapter 2. The banners of Enroth snapped in a hard wind as the kingdom fractured. Across villages and cities, heralds read Archibald's proclamation with grim faces, their voices echoing in market squares like hammer blows. By order of King Archibald Ironfist, Roland the Oppressor is declared an outlaw. Any who harbor him shall share his fate. The words traveled faster than horses all throughout the land. Roland, a fugitive in the country his father had built, rode from stronghold to stronghold under cover of night. His faithful, Lord Hart serving as a commander to Roland, Tanir the court wizard and a dozen hard-eyed lord knights, guided him along sheep tracks and cliff paths where loyalties burned brighter than fear. They took him at last to Castle Kilburn, a fortress of granite and oak that shouldered the winds of the Dragon Sands. Kilburn's great hall smelled of pitch and wet cloaks. Dwarves, wizards, and knights pressed shoulder to shoulder, until the room looked like a quarrel forced to keep its hands in its pockets. Candles guttered in iron hoops. When Roland stepped onto the dais, the congregation leaned in. "Archibald has murdered the seers and slandered my name," Roland said. He did not raise his voice. The quiet made men listen harder, but I will not let Enroth fall to darkness. I ask for your aid, not for myself, but for the kingdom our fathers and mothers built. Lord Hart came a step forward, armor bright in the torchlight. "Roland speaks truth," he said. "We must rise to defend Enroth's honor." That word, honor, stiffened backs all across the hall. An elf thumped the shaft of his bow on flagstone. A wizard in sand-colored robes nodded once decisively. A murmur rose into a rough chorus. Aye, aye, aye. The flag of the Blue Lion was raised. Far to the east, in Castle Ironfist, Archibald paced before a map pinned with knives and sigils of fealty. Advisors murmured updates as he clenched his hands. "General Corlagon has arrived with his black dragons," an aide reported. "The necromancers of the Mire of the Damned pledge their legions of dead. The barbarians of the frozen highlands send oaths, eager for blood. The warlocks of Kriegspire offer spell and beast folk. Many Enrothian towns will swear to your banner if we get to them first." Archibald allowed himself a smile. "Then let the world see Roland's honor crushed beneath my armies." He sent for Brother Brax, a necromancer and now head of Ironfist Temple with a priest's diction and a gaoler's hands, who had already silenced suspected traitors in half a dozen towns. "Brax," Archibald said, never wasting a breath, "burn every village that shelters Roland's sympathizers. Leave no doubt who is king." Brax bowed as if accepting a sacrament, his blue skin and blood-red robes dimming as he faded into the shadows. The war began as smoke. Plumes rose on horizons like fresh mountains. Archibald's men put the torch to hamlets that took meals to Roland's soldiers, to barns that hid his horses, and to smithies who supplied arms or armor. In reply, Rowan sent word to the druids of Silver Cove swore their fleets and mythical beasts to Roland. The wizards of the Dragon Sand Desert pledged their quarries and their titans, and the knights of Enroth, defenders of the realm in steel and valor, strapped on swords and spoke the word that pledged themselves to Roland. Skirmishes erupted where the land itself seemed to argue, on hedgerow lanes, in orchards where bees and their hives once sang, along river fords that turned the water red. Roland's cavalry learned to strike and vanish. Archibald's men placed fear into the hearts of people if they did not accept his reign. Over the plains east of Mist, rocks clashed with harpies, and the sky looked like an eclipse. A dragon's breath spilled across a titan's ancient stone face. The giant answered by driving a lightning spear through its wing with a crack, deafening nearby soldiers. The wizard commander, robes scorched, laughed like a man driven back to his youth. The warlock captain, lips bloodless, smiled as his fireballs burst men into flame. After a week of victories and defeats that tasted the same going down, Roland convened a council in a guardroom at Kilburn's castle. "We cannot keep dousing fires," Hart said, tracing a finger along the map. "We need a stand, a place where roads meet and gods favor us." Tanir cleared his throat, his black beard hiding his emotions. "Your Grace, if I may, Archibald is winning with coin and spectacle. We must win the people's hearts. Let the people see where your father once stood, and they will remember which banner they are loyal to." Roland smiled despite himself. "And how do I win these hearts, Tanir? Be a king, the wizard said, surprised by his own boldness, but also, here. He tapped a valley where the king's road crossed the old pilgrim way. The bright water. Market wagons frequent there. Shepherds swear by its grass. There's a watch hill King Morglan used to defend when he held off the ogre horde deployed by Slayer many decades ago. Then Brightwater it is, Roland decided. We make haste and show our colors. Let the people know where to find us and receive aid. Archibald will come, Hart warned. Roland buckled his sword and felt the old calm settle. Good. Archibald did not intend to simply come. He meant to destroy. He called General Corlagon to his private study. The great warlock removed his dragon-embossed gauntlets, eager for orders. I want Roland's banner broken, Archibald said. Not scattered, broken. His allies stripped of life and my brother an embarrassment. Corlagon steepled his fingers. We strike here, here, and here. He pinned the map at 3 points, the northern pass, the ferry town on the Silver Spine, and the Brightwater Valley. He has rallied his supporters to Brightwater to make a show. We will let him. I will take the dragons and the beastfolk to fix him in place. The necromancers will come late on purpose. Their appearance will steal courage. Meanwhile, Brother Brax will close the northern road by turning harvest to ash. Archibald looked down at his hands. They did not tremble. He only nodded. They marched. At Brightwater, Roland sent riders to every farm within half a day. Come and see your true king. Bring food. Bring coin. Bring your old songs. The first to arrive were children, of course. Children always find the shortest roads. Then came shepherds with staffs and workers that respected Roland's presence. Then came old men with worn bones and women who had wrapped pies in clean cloth. By noon the watch hill was dark with people and banners and new swords pledged to his cause. Roland greeted so many his voice was beginning to lose itself. He shook to many hands to count. He listened until evening, and the listening did more work than his sword ever could. When a girl with a bent ear said her father was missing because soldiers had taken him, Roland promised nothing he could not deliver. We will claim what's ours. We will push. We will not forget. At dusk, Hart climbed the watch hill breathless. Riders from the north, he said, and winged shadows to the south. The crowd felt the weather change and tightened as one body. Roland lifted a hand for quiet. People of Enroth, he called, voice carrying without a shout. You are the kingdom, not by banners, not by following usurpers, but by standing together. Shelter the children, protect each other. If you must hide, hide neighbors first. If you can fight, hold the line with me. A cheer swelled, thin at first, then progressing into a war cry. Hart, Roland said under his breath. Form the shield line on the east slope. Mount the flank. Tanir, do what you can to protect the people. Tanir stiffened. I will, sire. Then Corlagan arrived. Dragons stooped out of a slate sky like spilled ink learning to fly. Pikes rolled up the southern road in tidy rectangles. Steel tips catching the last daylight soon to be blocked by shadows of dragons, harpies, and arrows. Warlocks came on horseback with magical cloaks giving an aura of dominance. Steady! Lord Hart barked along the line. Shields knitted, spears leveled. The first dragons screamed, forcing men to cover their ears over raising their shields. Tanir raised both hands and pulled the protective barrier over the hill. The dragon fire broke on it and skittered sideways into the meadow where it licked harmlessly at damp grass. The beast snatched for Tanir with one talon. An arrow from the elven skirmishers sank to the fletching at the web of its claw. The dragon yanked back, confused, angry. A titan, tawny eyes steady, stone plates smoking, took the opening and drove a spear clean through the wing root. Dragon and giant punched into the ground, sending tremors throughout the battlefield. Minotaurs tried to circle the hill to take the wagons and the crowd. Lord Hart led a countercharge with 50 knights who had so much zeal no one could doubt their faith in the gods. Lances dented. Horses bit. Men shouted for Roland and for Enroth. The Minotaurs fell back, grim and irritated, as if interrupted mid-calculation. Roland moved where the line was thinnest, blade acting as a spearhead for his men. War drums to the southeast announced necromancers marching. The crowd wavered. No one expected to fight what was already dead. To me! Roland shouted, planting himself on the ridge where every eye could find him. Remember the mandate of heaven. Victory will be ours. The wavering slowed. On the north road, smoke arose, where Brax had put torch to ripening fields. Farms began to empty as families ran with shawls over baskets, animals scattering only to be slaughtered by the undead. Corrigan saw the ripple of fear and pushed. "Forward!" he cried, and the southern pikes came on with the patient hunger of a millstone. Tanir's arms trembled. "I can hold the barrier," he gasped, "but it's getting weaker." "Keep it together," Hart said. "Because we must." They did, for hours that felt like a day. At last dawn broke, dragons withdrew with torn wings, vampires fell back to the shadows, gargoyles turned to stone, and necromancers left their undead to cover their escape. The price was terrible. Men did not answer roll call, empty saddles forgot what their owners felt like. But the line held. The watch hill glittered with cook fires. People slept curled around children, swords still near. Roland walked the perimeter until his legs ached, and the words left in him felt too small for the task. He stopped beside Lord Hart and looked down at the dark snake of the river. "This cannot continue," he said quietly. "We answer their cruelty, but they are merciless." Roland nodded. "We go north and east. We must force our way eastward to Castle Iron Fist and gather men at towns on the way. Find the men who are willing to fight, and we make for Free Haven. If the guild cease transactions with Castle Iron Fist, Archibald's coin will bleed." "And if they don't?" Hart asked. "Then we remind them which king fights for them and which fights for himself," Hart saluted. Archibald did not smile in the morning. He watched his physicians dress the scratches on a dragon's chest with paste that smelled like mint and iron, and he counted the cost without flinching. "We would have broken him," Corrigan said. He was too proud to sound apologetic. "Brax's fires did their work. Roland will move. He must." "Good," Archibald said. "Let him move. A moving enemy is easier to destroy." He turned to a clerk. "Send letters to Kriegspire. I want more centaurs, hydras, griffins, and minotaurs. If they haggle, remind them they may just pay with their life. And send the dead to the mire. The dead are cheap and never complain." The clerk bowed. Ink splattered his knuckles. He did not bother to wipe it. The road north gave Roland more than he asked. At Greenbrier, housewives threw flour at Brax's men and then threw stones when the flour ran out. At Three Rooster Bridge, a priest who had been careful all his life climbed onto the parapet and said, "The only oath I take is for the rightful heir," and paid for it with his teeth, and still did not stop talking until the mutilated his tongue. At Highmere, a girl with that same bent ear found Roland again, and this time her father walked beside her with a limp and a grin, like the first slice of sunrise. "They let me go when they saw your banner," he said. The druids of Silver Cove sent druidic covens, elves, phoenixes, and unicorns to reinforce upcoming battles. The wizards of the desert sent 2 more titans, rocks and golems. Knights arrived in pairs, then in droves. At a crossroads tavern, a merchant tried to press a purse into Roland's palm. "For bread," he said. "For the men who fight for us." Roland closed the fingers back over the purse. "Keep it," he said. "Pay your miller fare and your teamster well. I heard this town has the worst bread in all in Roth anyway," he chuckled. The merchant blinked, then laughed, and the laugh stuck like tar. From the first day of the second week, the war acquired a shape. Archibald sought to starve the country of courage with fire and fear. Roland sought to feed it with presence and the memory of a king who cared for his people. When Roland lay down that night, sleep came late and left early. He dreamed of his father's hand on his shoulder, warm and heavy. In the dream, he was a boy again, and the weight was a comfort. "Do you think he would be proud?" he asked Lord Hart, emerging from his tent. "I think pride is too small a word," Hart said, staring into the coals. "I think he would be busy, saddling a horse, comforting the lost, telling a story, and I think he would remind you that a king is nothing without his kingdom." Roland let the word settle.